Here's the features of the 4-tap delay and dual crossfader. I've got a higher pitch kick drum type sound coming in from a drum module which is going into the mixer, and you can actually clip this and there's a clip-in LED. I actually really like the sound of the drive on that clip-in, but you can roll that back for a cleaner sound. There's a 3-input mixer going into the delay section. We then go to the delay, and at the minute we're just taking the delay's output to our sound card, so there's no dry wet, and this is just a pure wet delayed output. I really love the idea of having to patch your own dry wet mixers. I think it gets users thinking of potentially more creative ways of doing things. To get a dry wet, I'll take my input and split that into the crossfader, and then take my output from the crossfader. I'll then take the delay's output into the second input on the crossfader, and we've now got a dry wet mix. With the delay we've got a ×1 and a ×10 setting for short or longer delay times. And there's no feedback on the delay. To get feedback we'd have to patch this up ourselves, and we've got dual outputs for each delay tap, so we can patch one of the outputs back into the mixer and use the mixer's level as a feedback amount. Let's go for a short and buzzy sound. We can get Karplus strong synthesis sounds out of the module, and I've got a separate video that highlights some of those features, so I'll link that in the video's description. Patching up your own feedback like the dry wet I think forces a little bit more creative patching, or at least a bit more creative thinking, as you could process these delays, distort them, filter them, and then put them back into the module. We've still got that crossfader mix from dry to wet, and there's no bleed. If we want to process our feedback path, we can simply filter that by taking the delay's output into the Quad VCF and VCA module in VCF mode, and then use that output back into the mixer. So with this we can now filter those delay trails in the feedback path. So we've patched up our own dry-wet blend and our own feedback, and we've got a second crossfader available still and those other delay time outputs, so it's potentially a really creative and fun delay unit. Here's a snare drum at my input, and I've still got this dry-wet patched up on the crossfader, and I've also got the feedback path still set up. Leaving this fully wet for now, I'm going to add some sample and hold modulation to the delay's CV input. Let's turn that feedback up some more, and a wider CV depth, so you can hear into this instant fun world of sound mangling. Let's go for less feedback. We could use an LFO for smoother control of that delay time as well. Here's a wider range on that CV depth, which takes us right up to that nice little Karplus metallic sound on those really short delay times. Here's our dry sound again, and this is just an oscillator's tone going through a filter, and we're going to look at the FM input. I've still got my dry wet patched up, and there's also a feedback path too, so here's the wet sound. If we patch in a sine wave from an audio rate oscillator, we'll use this as an FM source. This isn't just a simple control over the delay rate like the CV in, it's an actual tonal FM for the delay with a similar tone to FM in a VCO. So let's turn up that FM depth. So they may be similar FM style overtones. I'll sweep up the pitch of the oscillator providing the FM. And then back down again. And now with wider FM depth. And this control starts to cut off at slower rates from the oscillator, but if you want that slow control over delay time, we've got the CV input for that. Here's the pitch of the oscillator going up again. As a reminder, here's the dry tone. And then a blend of dry and wet. No FM on that delay. And then FM again. So you've actually got the option to create FM tones just on those delay trails, and you can get quite creative patching up different things in the feedback path to process those delays further. I'm coming straight out of the delay to my sound card at the minute, and I have the feedback patched up in the mixer. I'm on the ×10 delay time for longer delays, and I'll sweep the filter on my input sound so you can hear the delay. We've got the feedback amount too. And delay time. And that delay just sounds fantastic, even in just a really simple setup. But let's look at some chorus style effects now, and I want a droning input, so I'm just going to turn up my filter. You can hear with that feedback on the delay, we've got this metallic overtone. If I turn that feedback down, we're just getting a single repeat and none of those metallic overtones, but adding that extra feedback, we get those overtones. Let's go to ×1 on the delay setting. And we can get some really cool chorus and flange style sounds. If I patch in an LFO to the CV over delay time and use small amounts in terms of CV depth, we can get this really thick chorus style sound. Here's playing with a filter on the input sound. And I can patch up a stereo chorus by taking two different delay time outputs. We've already got the quarter time output going to my sound card, but if I patch in another cable from another one of those time outputs, this will instantly turn into a stereo patch. Hopefully you're getting this nice rich wide sound. Make sure you're listening in headphones or some decent speakers, and that YouTube's in high quality for the stereo sound. The CV depth and the feedback are the main factors affecting that chorus sound. Let's turn the filter cutoff down, and the oscillator's pitch down as well, that's the input. You can easily get those really thick re-style bass sounds if you're into drum and bass. Plenty of wide detune style sounds. Let's turn the rate up of that LFO, controlling delay time. And then narrow that depth. You could use both crossfaders to make a dry-wet mix for your left and your right signals, or actually use these to fade between two of the different delay time outputs. For now I'm going to take a simple sample and hold signal into the oscillator's FM for some changing pitches and play around so you can hear these tones. So that's it for the Sputnik 4-tap delay and dual crossfader, with 4 different delay time outputs, audio rate delays for Karplus strong synthesis, an impressive solid sound quality that just sounds great even as a simple delay, and those dual crossfaders and the mixer you set for loads of fun and quite creative delay effects. As always, hit like and subscribe for more videos every week, and check the Patreon link in the description if you want to support my channel.